You're listening to episode 999 of the Father Bills Podcast. Welcome back. Well, this episode is entitled The Humble Truth, given on the 30th Sunday in Ordinary Time, 2025. When I was studying Spanish in Mexico, Morelia specifically, as a new priest, I offered Sunday Mass at a nearby church. Still learning Spanish, I felt stressed and inadequate, to say the least. My host family, who sang in the choir, was wonderfully supportive. One Sunday near my last days there, I returned to the presider's chair after communion, just like here, only for the rear legs of the chair to slip off the platform. And let's just say, the chair flipped backwards with me in it, vestments flying and crashing to the floor. The 600 parishioners sat in silence as if nothing had happened. Thank you. Gathering myself together and red-faced and all, I had finished Mass. The chair was fine, but my ego was bruised. I came to know more deeply the meaning of the word, the bottom line word of humility, which draws its origin from the Latin humus, which means earth or ground or dirt, like I feel like dirt. Jesus' parable of the self-righteous Pharisee and the humble tax collector illustrated well the destiny of those who are truly humble and those who are truly arrogant. Did you notice that the Pharisee didn't just pray, he prayed to himself and not to God? He also made it clear that he considered himself superior to the tax collector and pretty much everybody else. Meanwhile, the tax collector actually directed his prayer to God, didn't dare approach the altar due to his sins, and begged for forgiveness. So what does humility look like? What does a humble person think? And what can we do to become more humble? Firstly, humility is not weakness, despite what our culture tells us. In fact, it is a great strength. It takes a strong person not to let one's ego take over. Humble people know their state in this life, their abilities, their strengths, their weaknesses. And most importantly, they know their truest identity is being a child of God. The humble person does not hide their defects, but brings them before God and acknowledges them before others. The humble recognize their gifts and abilities are not purely their own making, but all a gift from God. Therefore, humility is a real treasure, not a deficit. Let me offer you some perspectives from various traditions in our church. St. Thomas Aquinas, let's go with him first. He wrote, "Humility means seeing ourselves as God sees us, knowing everything we have comes from God as pure gift." Rick Warren, in his book, The Purpose-Driven Life, wrote, "Humility is not thinking less of yourself, it is thinking of yourself less. Humility is thinking more of others. Humble people are so focused on serving others, they don't even think about themselves." He also offered, quote, "You can develop humility in very practical ways by admitting your weaknesses, by being patient with others' weaknesses, by being open to correction, and by pointing the spotlight on others." St. Paul wrote, "Live in harmony with each other. Don't try to act important, but enjoy the company of ordinary people and don't think you know it all." Just think through this week then how much humility the Father showed through his Son who descended into our world to become like us, limited in time and space, small by every measure compared to God's grandeur and greatness. Summarizing C.S. Lewis in his book Mere Christianity, a truly humble person doesn't draw attention to their humility or put themselves down. They come across cheerful, kind, and genuinely interested in others, not self-focused. He adds, anyone would like to acquire humility? The first step is to realize that one is proud. If you think you're not conceited, it means you are very conceited indeed. So let us not be guilty of false humility, which is arrogance in disguise. Be who God has made you to be from the moment of your conception. Rejoice in his gifts present in you and focus on the good of others. And finally, know deep in the marrow of your bones that you are God's beloved son or daughter in whom he delights. By the way, an epilogue to my story at the beginning, as I and my host family walked home from Mass in silence, I finally pulled myself together to ask them if they had saw what happened. That gave them the permission to respond, "Si, Padre," with a smile, and we laughed about it the whole way home. Whew. That was just another one of those many times I've embarrassed myself in public, which has taught me that humility is sometimes born out of humiliation. And now I'm going to gently sit back down. Thank you again for listening to this episode of the Father Bills Podcast. Well, this is episode 999. That means the very next one is my 1,000th episode. That's crazy. And let's see, that'll be All Saints Day if I do it in the morning, or it'll be All Souls Day, and that'll be then Deacon Brett that'll be giving the homily for the weekend. So we'll just see what happens, and who knows, maybe I'll do both of them. And either way, anyhow, for me, that's pretty cool. 1,000. When I first started this podcast, I thought, well, I just got to make sure I stick with it. And I think I have. I think 1,000 is a good sign that I've been sticking with it. And I plan to do so going forward. Also, over this weekend, two people that I know, Deacon Brian Suda and Deacon Randall Livinggood, two gentlemen that I have a connection with. Brian, I actually employed him down in Grants Pass, and then I had to leave because I got re-signed. And then there's also Randall, who was part of an OCIA class, or we called it RCIA back then, when I was in Grants Pass, as he was coming into the faith and was discerning also a vocation. And of course, now we see that as a permanent deacon. So congratulations to both of them. Now, if you want to know any more information or have any comments or questions, just go to my website, fatherbill.org. There you can check out what's going on with my blog, podcasts, my liturgy page, photos and links. And I want to encourage you, if you want to know more about liturgy, the liturgy podcast I have called the Mysteries of the Mass Podcast might be something to check out. So you can go through the podcast page and learn about why, for example, we have a new translation of the Roman Missal, which got published in 2011, and what was all that about. So you can check that out. In the meantime, may God bless you and have a great week. Bye-bye.